Sup guys, this is Anderson 977 here today to do One Piece chapter 753 review. Oh, that's a lot of chapters. Now, in this chapter of One Piece, there was a lot of stuff, a lot of commotion, but I start off with the general gist of how things unfold in this chapter. So, initially, we see Bellamy, and he's now facing Doflamingo, and he's asking Doflamingo why Dillinger was ordered to take him out. And Doflamingo says to him that it's not necessarily him, but because their ideals and their paths, both of their paths do not directly align. Doflamingo says he doesn't really care what happens as long as he gets to destroy the world, right? What exactly he means by that could be anyone's guess, but I'm assuming that when he says destroy the world, he means the current state of things. He wants to rise to the top. We know that it's his hope to become the Pirate King, so destroying the world to him could very well be something along those lines. Then, after that point, the scene switches over to the Colosseum contestants that are on the second floor, and they've now apparently begun to fight the officers. We see this dude named Suleiman, um, and he was fighting Delinga, and this Delinga dude, he just basically runs around the place fast, and then just comes in with his horns and just strikes. That's how he apparently fights people and take them out. That's pretty simple, pretty simplistic. So far, from what Lingers has shown in his combat abilities, I don't think he's anything to be afraid of. So we see that the Colosseum contestants are trying to go to the third floor, but they are being stopped by the officers. So now there's this commotion on the second floor between the Colosseum contestants and the Flamingo officers. That's where the clash is now happening. And then after that point, we reach a place where we see the ordinary citizens in Dressrosa that were being controlled by Doflamingo. They have started to band together. They started to use, muscle, and started to kind of hold these people that are being controlled captive. And we see, the guys crying his eyes out about how he stole this, he killed this, he's killed this person, he stabbed his best friend, and he's really sorry. And they said, look, we understand you were just being controlled by Doflamingo. And now what's interesting is that they have now decided that they are going to go after King Riku and God Usopp. They are going to get those two people, capture them, and take them to Doflamingo. So this is interesting. The ordinary, people that are being controlled by Doflamingo have started to break free of his control, group together, and they now have their objective of giving Usopp and King Riku to Doflamingo. Pretty interesting. I like to see where that goes. Then after that point, it's we see the dwarves that are inside the sad factory. You know, they are complaining about the earthquake that they just heard, which is just the commotion that's going on, the fighting that's going on outside, and they are wondering what's going on. And they were lied to that they need to keep working because of the princess's sickness and whatever. Because they're easily gullible, so they can be manipulated easily, even though they're pretty strong. So all of a sudden we see outside these words begin to form, and those words that form is because it's a message that the other dwarves that are outside are trying to portray to them. They are using pink bees, and they're telling them basically that they were fooled, they were scammed. Princess is okay. Yes, you don't need to continue working. And then boom, right out of the blue, they just beat up their captives and got rid of them. So sad factory. Doflamingo's guys are no longer in control. The dwarves aren't fooled anymore. They've come to understand that they are being controlled, and so sad factory, I guess they start to want to destroy them, apparently. And then after that point, we get to a point where Luffy, Cavendish, Law, and now Curious is riding on this one horse, and they're all talking about you know, what they want to do. But then Curious, the legendary one-leg gladiator, hmm, he says that there's a certain man that he wants to kill, even if it costs him his life. And in the panel, this guy that's shown is apparently Diamante. So Curious wants to take out Diamante for some reason. You know, we probably get an explanation and reasons why, but he's very serious about this. So that's one matchup that we apparently know of so far. The matchup between Curious, the one named Gladiator, and Diamante. Those two will face off. And right after that point, the Horus reaches the second level where all of the commotion is going on, and then out of the blue, as said by the officers that was there, that the Colosseum contestants were all fighting disorganizedly. But as soon as Luffy arrived, all of them organized themselves and they all keep on, they all of a sudden say that they will help Luffy to reach the next level. They'll hold off officers while Luffy is able to jump to the next level. And you know, there's just one guy, this guy that's called Daruma or something like that, where he was saying that Luffy, you go on ahead, we keep these guys busy, and then all of a sudden we see Lingo jump in, whoof, you know, use his horns, impale him, and he seems to be done with. Luffy gets pissed off and he's like, hey, what's going on? And then we see Cavendish immediately cut his path to go to the third level. So Colosseum contestants and officers will now face off, and the Colosseum contestants want to give this opportunity to Luffy so that he's able to go to the next level where he will eventually be able to face Doflamingo and fight him. So overall, that's basically the gist of what happened in this chapter of One Piece. A lot of stuff went on, but what I noticed didn't go on was the fight between Sabo, or what I noticed wasn't what I noticed we didn't get to see was the fight between Sabo and Fujitora and Zoro and Pika. My guess is Oda, he wants to lay out all the fights, right? At least start all of them at the same time, so that while they're going on, he will show them in depth Sabo versus Fujitora, Zoro versus Pika, and apparently the next one supposed to happen is Kyrus versus Diamante. He wants all of these fights to at least start off first before he, you know, because of all the action that's going on too, you know, he probably just wants to lay out all the action, have all the setups of the fights, and then let's just let all the fights go down all at the same time. But definitely, I'm really looking forward to those fights, and I hope that Oda will, in fact, show us what happens in those fights so that we can see not only the Straw Hat's abilities, but Sabo's abilities, which should be interesting. So overall, I thought it was an okay chapter of One Piece. There was a lot of exploration and a lot of things going on everywhere, you know. But overall, I think it was decent. I think it was okay. So right now, I'm just waiting for the fights. I want to see how they go down. So that's it. That's my review. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Sayonara.